Hey, we're Stone Brother. We're giving you the behind-the-scenes look at the songs from our new album, New World Incorporated, and this time we're going to go over the only cover on the album. This is Long Live Rock and Roll, originally by the band Rainbow. So I guess this is another one that comes from your obsession of Dio that was going on for a little while there.
Just that period of time, I was super into it. Everything Dio. And at the time, at this point, we knew that we were doing the album.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out what exactly was going on in the album. And I figured there's so many great records that have one kind of career-defining cover on them. Like Van Halen 1 was my big model for it with You Really Got Me. And I was looking for a song that we could do, and the criteria was sort of like it has to be something that we can do in our style, that we can pull off. That we can still adapt to make us.
Yeah.
Something that's sort of one of those big sing-along arena songs is something I really wanted. And something that hadn't been done to death.
Yeah.
And so I was going through everything that I knew. And I had also just watched the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
And so I had coming off of that, and they also have a version of Long Live that Zakk Wylde plays the guitar on that I really like. But I was super into the Dio stuff, and I was going through all of that stuff, and I eventually thought to myself, what about Long Live Rock and Roll? Brought that home, and that was, sure, and we did it, and we loved it, and we kept it.
Yeah.
So that was, that's kind of how that came to be out of my Dio thing.
And with our version in particular, I suppose you could say this about a lot of the stuff that we do, with your university background, but I think you can hear a lot more jazz influence in our version. So we sort of took the original Rainbow version and the Rockstar version and sort of threw some jazz stuff in there as well to make it our own. I think in particular in the guitar solo, the little jazz with David Baker, like you got the thrown in there.
I have jazz licks all over the record.
Yeah.
Because I think it's funny.
Yeah. If there's rock and roll people who are also huge jazz people out there, I guess they'll appreciate all that, won't they?
Oh, there's crossover.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially for the stuff like that, because I mean, like the stuff that was coming out in the 60s was super influenced by all that stuff. I mean, Deep Purple had a lot of classical influence, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's also lots of jazz stuff in there. Like I'm thinking of Lazy is kind of that sort of vibe. And then obviously Ritchie Blackmore left and formed Rainbow, so there was certainly some carryover of that sort of classical jazz rock and roll thing in with that as well. It's really good stuff, and I'm glad that we did that song.
Oh yeah, it's a really cool one. It's
awesome.
really fun to record too.
Yep, the recording process was a lot of fun on this one. I know that when we did the bids for this, I think this was the first one that we did, and
probably
it left us with a sense of optimism. Just how cool it sounded.
Yeah.
About the whole rest of the project, it was a good feeling right out of the gate. And doing the solo for this one was fun because my Strat was in the shop, that's the guitar that Ritchie Blackmore played was a Stratocaster most of the time, and I also play one. And mine was in the shop, and I tried a couple different guitars on it, and it's just, I need a Strat for this song. This is a Strat solo.
And this was when we were finished at the Sonic location. We were working out of Lil's home studio now.
That's right. And we overdubbed that solo there, and his Strat was on the wall that he used with his own music.
Yeah.
And so I used that, and I have never fought with a guitar so much in my life because he uses way heavier strings than I do, and his action was a little higher than I'm used to, and it was just a battle. We got through it, and it worked. And there was the pick scrape at the end was actually a Mexican peso that I found, and I thought sounded really cool.
Yeah.
But I couldn't swap it out fast enough on my own to make it clean.
Yeah,
So,
I do wish that we still had that we had video taken of this part in particular,
Yeah.
because I can distinctly remember it. You there playing the guitar and me just sort of standing with the
Exactly.
coin, reached out so that at a moment you could just and keep going with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It turned out really well. A lot of people have commented on that one specifically.
Awesome.
A lot of people have said, a lot of people that I know have said, I didn't know that was a cover. I thought that was yours, which is cool.
I guess that's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounds so much like us that they don't realize that it's not original to us.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest change that we made was just that little tapping part before the solo starts. I think everything else is more or less in there, but the key work in there is like it goes sort of unpraised more than it should. There's some really cool keyboard moments in there.
Well, thank you very much on that. Yeah, it was. I think we knew going in that we wanted that like Hammond organ
Yeah.
kind of sound on it, because when you're doing like a 70s rock thing, you need to have that specific organ sound. Like "Carry On Wayward Son" by
Sure.
Kansas is a great example of like the organ that very much defines that classic 70s rock kind of sound.
Sure.
And they unfortunately didn't have a Hammond at the Sonic Temple, so I had to break out the trusty old Roland electric keyboard
I love it.
and get the closest rock organ sound that I could on that.
They did
But-
have a Leslie though.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of it as well, is that Lil pulled out the Leslie amp and actually plugged my keyboard into that, which I'm sure some people would argue is some kind of sacrilege. But
Which, if you don't know, this Leslie has a horn, a speaker on the top of it that when you play, there's a motor in it that spins around really fast, and that's what gives it that sort of warble sound. And it's the classic sound of
Yeah.
Deep Purple and so many other bands.
and it just sounds absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But it was really fun doing that, because it was just me up in the recording floor, and then you and Lil in the engineer floor, I guess we could call it.
The control room.
The control room, yeah. And I had written a keys part for that was mainly just like chords and matching. I think it was just sort of matching the bass line more than anything on
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
Kind of thing, just simple melodic thing like that. And then we would do a little bit of it, and Lil would say, "All right, that's pretty good, but do you know Green Onions, Booker T, and the MGs? Could you make it sound a bit more like Green Onions?" So I'd try something a bit more like that, and you go, "All right, put a bit more Green Onions into it."
It was very much a more
Yeah.
cowbell thing.
Yeah, can we get some more onion in the mix?
I gotta have more green onions. It was really.
I got a fever, and the only cure is more onions.
It was great. Totally right, too.
Oh
Totally
yeah,
right.
absolutely. So yeah, that little organ thing that I was doing in there, I thought was really awesome. My favorite part of the keys on that though is right after the drum solo at the very end. I do this great big slide
Yep.
down the keys, and I don't think it pulls the whole song together, but it really like pulls the drum solo together and says, "This is the end of the song."
Yep.
It's a really cool sound. I'm really glad that we got that.
And it's a good drum fill too, right there. It's like we were that part was a little more influenced by the movie version, and thought was let's kind of put a bit of a showcase in there, because we've got like the first time it's just does the let it live. The second time is the drum fill, and then it's
Third time goes out.
third time out. So the drum fill, I know that I was thinking, I want a drum fill here. What can you do? And you mirrored, like, first try, mirrored the tapping part. It's like, yep, that's it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Great callback. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think that you could argue is a little bit of a classical influence on that, because I listen to a lot of classical music myself, and I'm a big fan of when pieces have those little like leitmotifs where it's like a specific part that gets called back to every now and then. I think it's really cool when songs do that, so I think that was probably a big part of that, which is very much in keeping with the Ritchie Blackmore influence stuff there.
Yep. And the artwork on this one is,
Oh, yeah.
is probably my favorite of the three single ones that we did.
Yeah.
there's just so many little Easter eggs in it that I just love. Emerson Barnes, again, we work with her all the time.
Yeah,
She does
always
great work.
incredible work.
And obviously the rainbow at the top on the window is to commemorate the band that originally wrote the song. The on the right hand side there's a red dragon that represents Ronnie James Dio himself. The green truck model on the left hand side is to commemorate my old 98 Mazda pickup that was the band vehicle for so many years. There's the album cover of Long Live Rock and Roll, the original record.
Yeah.
In the middle, I believe.
Yeah, sort of under the gramophone. It's a little to the left.
That's right.
Yeah, and the composition of that as well, I don't remember exactly what it was that we said to Emerson when we were planning it out, but it was basically like we wanted it to have the feeling of like rock and roll being carried into the future. That's why it's the kids in that loft space like holding up the records like they just discovered something amazing, because it's supposed to be like, here's this past of music being carried on into the future. And I think that we're sort of seeing that right now with younger generations sort of discover, not as far back as like 70s, what we would consider the classic rock stuff, as early 2000s kids.
But there's
But
a
like
lot of
a lot of 90s stuff
and
making
the
a
90s
comeback.
stuff, which is awesome, and it's certainly something. I mean, there's a lot of them that are super into the Soundgarden and the Alice in Chains and the Nirvana and all that stuff. I've had kids talk to me about Temple of the Dog, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's great that they're like taking this stuff and pulling it forward. So I think the sentiment that we're trying to get through with that song is really coming into fruition of like, this rock and roll thing hasn't died out as much as people like to say that it has. It's still something that people talk about and care about and are pulling into the new generation.
Yep,
so it's great to see that.
Absolutely, and the artwork is based off of Emerson's father's loft, the loft of his shed, which is also where we shot the teaser video, which is also where we did a few scenes of the music video for the song. So there's a lot of history rooted in that building as well, and a lot of music stuff rooted in that building.
I gotta say, the teaser for Long Live, I think, is among my favorites of the little shorts that we've done to promote our stuff, just because of how cinematic it was when it was finished. It was really cool, like, because I think you were the one that did all the filming work on that one, so it was really awesome, like, getting those clips and putting them together into the dramatic, cinematic. I wanted it to feel like a coming-of-age story, sort of like The Goonies.
Is this supposed to be water? It's wet, ain't it? Drink it!
Sure.
In particular, I was thinking of the scene in The Goonies where they go into the attic and they like find the map for the first time. I wanted to sort of mirror that scene with this, of it's just like the beginning of this great adventure of rock and roll, where it's like these young people looking around to find something great and they find the music, and that's the like climax of this story. Here's rock and roll, and it's gonna keep going forever. I wanted it to feel like that, and I think that attic loft space was actually kind of perfect for that kind of thing, because it is a pretty closed-in space, but it also has that feeling of the kind of setting you'd see in one of those like 80s coming-of-age movies.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was awesome that he let us use that space for all that stuff.
Yep, always
very appreciative of that. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So that is the story of our cover of Long Live Rock and Roll, available now on the New World Incorporated album, wherever it is that you listen to music. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you in the next one.
Yeah.